Yeah, it's not the split. The split is part of it, but it's the tie, right?
No, you're tied.
The tongue tie, removing the tongue tie, has done more damage to my tongue in a way than cutting the tongue.
Well, it's now you can work all the muscles that
More
you never
damage or
used
more
during your entire
difference?
life.
Both.
Yeah.
Well, the tongue tie wasn't much damage necessarily, but like
More rehab required.
more rehab requirement than the tongue split.
Yeah.
Right? And more rehab potential too. Mm-hmm. The tongue split will just kind of do its thing, and if you move it around a lot and kind of pull on it like every morning, I've been told to pull on each side of it with paper towels so you can kind of get a good grip on it and keep it spread just for a few seconds.
What
It
a
doesn't
time to
even
be
hurt. It
alive.
doesn't hurt because it will try and regrow, right?
Yeah, of
Just
course.
for the first few months.
No,
For
Sarah was
anyone
actually telling me
wondering, Jeremy split his tongue the last week.
Yeah.
One
I'm
week
pretty
ago
sure
today.
Everybody knows by now.
Well, I don't know. It's just 1 week. This is 1 week into healing, and he's already talking on this podcast.
Yeah.
He's already committed to an hour of conversation.
Oh, my God.
With a split tongue. Learning how to use your tongue for the first time, really.
People
Yeah.
are terrified when, not just the people at work, but like the people I told that I went to work Friday night.
Yeah.
Because it was like
Me included.
3.5 days.
Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I got my tongue split and my tongue tie cut, stitched up, and I went back to work Friday night.
Ow.
And it was hilarious because people were like, "Oh, Jared's not talking," and some of them knew why, and the ones that didn't, when they found out, they were like horrified.
Yeah, of course.
Like, how are you still alive?
It's a very visceral
that
thing.
kind of shit. Like, it was really visceral,
Yes.
but it's not that bad.
Okay.
Well, like, so like it's funny because people will just see things and it has like a visceral image to it, right? It looks worse than it is. Like, for example, my fingers sitting here like this, they don't. Maybe they get some kind of reaction to show someone, especially when they're fresh. Mm-hmm. But they don't get the same reaction as a fresh tongue split.
No kidding.
But I'll tell you which one hurt more
Yeah.
by far,
By
Yes.
far.
and way more painful to heal too. Like way more life deranging
Every time?
every time. There's
Man.
nothing that can be done about it.
If you think of the actual surface area of flesh damaged, the actual injury caused, the back of that hand is way more actual injury
Well, and
than
also
just
it's
one cut.
exposed to everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's like you're babying this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now, what if you
And it's
covered it in
inflamed.
saliva over and over again?
Well, but the tongue is always like that's its natural living condition. So
Yeah.
it's kind of used to that, and everything in your mouth heals super quick.
The tongue is adapted to heal under
Oh,
those
yeah.
conditions anyway.
Well, my coworker was telling me it's partly evolutionary, because like if you got like a cut or something.
And you couldn't heal your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
so
toast.
your tongue has adapted to survive over time. So like when you do things to it, it's like, ha ha, I've suffered worse than this. You know, that kind of thing where it's just not taking it too seriously.
I guess. I mean, yeah, sure. That
Well,
just seems so intense to me for...
I have a friend
Still, I'm
that-
having a hard time with it.
he has a tongue split, and he was doing a crazy TikTok video of him like with a knife, and he's like licking both sides of it with his tongue, and it got removed for like dangerous content.
Yeah.
And he actually did. He nicked his tongue when he was licking it, and he had like a tiny cut on the inside of his tongue, and like.
It sounds like getting a cut in the little crease of
I
your
know.
fingers right here.
So gross.
But like people are probably like,
Webs
he's
of your
gonna
toes.
kill himself. He'll probably bleed to death. I'm like, no, he's just gonna have an irritating sore for a little while.
That's right. He'll get a canker sore from it probably.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be a pain in the tongue.
It's gonna be a slight like annoyance
Yeah.
for a week.
It's going to be slightly harder to eat for a little while.
Whereas like when I had my fingers blasted,
You can't go
Well,
to work and crap.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like, again, I've said,
Wash dishes at home even? No.
I'm completely
none of that.
worthless.
Yep.
I couldn't do anything anytime that I've done it. I was looking for a similar experience with this, and I feel like I didn't quite get that. I almost got that.
Sounds like you need extreme sports.
Yeah, I think
If you break an ankle every now and then, it really satisfies
Ticks that
part of
box,
you.
eh?
Yeah, it really ticks that box of like, there. Now I can't.
I'm
do
helpless
shit
for a little while.
Yeah.
Well, I did a vlog right before I did it. For last Thursday, it went up. I guess it'll be the Thursday before last when this goes up. And I said, like, I kind of like these life-altering modifications that I get sometimes where it's like, that's not the intention from the onset, but what it forces you into is it changes your life. Even if it's just for a little while.
Yep.
It's like life impairing enough that you're like, oh, my circumstances have changed significantly. Right? It's like, now I can't eat anything for a while.
Yeah, oh my God. It's like, I've been there for like oral surgeries and things like that. But like, I don't know. Those always felt like you had to. You know what I mean?
You
It's just like,
wouldn't
oh, it
choose
is
it,
what it
yeah.
is. I got to
But
do it.
sometimes you still crave that change in routine.
Oh, I
like,
definitely
even
do.
this past week, like all last week, Rowan had like a bit of a head cold. She went and got tested. She's fine. And I was kind of sitting here like, man, as much as I don't want to skip out any days of work because of getting a stupid head cold, it'd be kind of nice change of pace right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I did that, and
I
it
know
was
that
annoying.
feeling.
Couple days.
I was out of here for
home.
3 days, and I was annoyed the whole time. I was just upset. I don't know how to explain it. I didn't do anything. I just was angry. It's like,
Yeah. Well, you
I don't
didn't
want
get
this.
anything for it.
No, and
Right?
it was annoying. That's all I could say. It was just frustrating. It was one of those like,
yeah.
Especially
But
since you probably weren't really all that
no,
bothered.
no. I kept expecting the penny to drop, and then nothing happened.
Nope.
So it was like, all right,
Light
cool.
head cold at best.
Yeah, at best.
Yep.
And it was like, all right, so maybe the house is dusty. But like, it was one of those like, it's infuriating. I hate sitting around now. This whole like forced time off every once in a while has let me just realize that I hate it when it's forced upon me, and I love it when it's my decision.
Yeah, well, that's more what I was into here, right?
Yeah.
Like, this was my decision.
Yeah. You planned it.
I wait until life forces me to.
That's
Most of the time.
yeah, I get that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm a different
This
person than I was.
Was a little bit of both.
Just different now.
Because
Yeah.
ironically, or rather, it was just kind of a coincidence that I had time off when this gentleman happened to be around.
Yeah.
I couldn't not have time off because my work was closed for 5 days for renovations.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like the stars aligned. I wasn't going to take time off anytime soon on my own. But if they offered me, they're like, yeah, you want to come work on the renovations? I'm like, fuck no. What good am I on a ladder?
Not great.
If I was like a comic book and here I am on a ladder with a hammer, the next panel I'm dead on the floor. You know?
Upside down with little X's for
Yeah,
eyes.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's not going to work well for me.
The hammer sticking out of your actual butt that's sticking in the air.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I'm not really interested in becoming that guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Handyman?
So when they were like, yeah, you can, I'm like, no, fuck them. Well, I'll take this opportunity to do something with it.
Yeah, it was weird how it all just like worked out.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the guy,
Uh-huh.
I am surprised that you posted a picture with him.
He told me very clearly what I could and couldn't say
Yeah.
and what I
Good
could
enough.
and couldn't do.
Yeah,
Okay.
it actually makes sense.
Like, he was very clear about what I was allowed. And he wasn't like ruthless about it. He was just like, please don't say this, you know.
Yeah, because it's not like he's a felon running around splitting tongues.
No, he really, really wants to make sure things go well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if anything ever didn't go well,
then someone's going to come headhunting for him.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, he
Right.
doesn't want to be doing a bad job or giving anyone
Yeah,
poor
yeah, yeah.
information. He sent me a 15-minute audio file.
Okay.
First he explained the aftercare to me and another guy who was getting it done,
Yep.
who had less work done than either of you, by the way. Because I'm going to get more into that in a minute. But he was explaining the aftercare routine to both of us, and he was looking at me the whole time. He wasn't even looking at the other guy, which I took as a compliment. Anyway, a little bit of a man crush. Anyway. Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes of aftercare explanation, and very well, it was so well rehearsed. You know where you can go off script? Like where if I was giving you an aftercare routine to heal your piercing, I'd need to stick to the notes so I didn't miss anything. He was
Right.
just all over the place, just in and out, like making little jokes here and there. Like you could tell he'd given this speech thousands of times.
Yeah.
Right? Mastery. So then later he says at the end, he goes, I'm going to send you guys each an audio file to your email. They'll say the exact same things in a slightly longer form. And you can refer to this for each day of the healing, what to expect, how to combat certain things, all these different things.
Great.
I did go and listen to it, but only on the first day, just because I was like,
Refresher.
oh, cool, right?
Yeah,
Once
just
it's
to know
once
what it
it's
is.
in your head and everything's going well. If something goes weird, you might go back to the file.
Well, and every single day happened exactly as he said it would.
Nice.
Like to a T. But I did exactly what he said, too. The only thing I didn't do right is before I went, I had a whole bunch of yogurts in the fridge because I was like, oh, I'm going to be eating some fucking yogurt, boy.
No, you're not.
Nope, because of the probiotics.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like, well,
no
now I got
kidding.
like 6 tubs of yogurt in the fridge that I'm just going to end up throwing out because you can't freeze yogurt or it separates.
What kind of yogurt?
It's,
I'll eat it.
It's Greek vanilla.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet. Easy.
Well, that's
Yeah, it's
delicious.
good.
Yeah.
High protein.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
If you don't want to throw it out,
I'll bring it to you if you want it.
we'll eat
Come
it.
on,
There's
yeah.
no way I'm eating 6 yogurts
Yeah.
before November 1st.
Oh yeah. No.
That's
well,
soon.
I'll
That's
help
real
you out.
soon.
All I've had is I had 2 actual full-on ice cream milkshakes, and I had like 6 Ensures, a whole bunch of protein shakes. Saturday and Sunday night, I ate mashed potatoes.
There you go.
I had more Monday I had more mashed potatoes. Last night I had craft dinner. That's the biggest, heartiest meal I've had so far.
Mushy, 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 mushy.
Past
always-
will keep you alive, though,
Yeah. Exactly.
at the end.
Well, I'm just happy to be eating anything because
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
it's been is drinking, right? It's been drink, 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 drink.
When you started the sentence, I'm just happy to be, I really thought you were going to say alive.
Oh man, like I'm telling you, this
Congratulations, you did it.
Stoked to be alive right now.
Yeah.
The craziest part of it for me was the ride home, because I could have driven myself home. I definitely could have.
With your tongue now.
No, no. My tongue was like that big when I was leaving.
Easy to reach the steering wheel.
Fair. If I had any amount of control over it, I think that definitely would have ended poorly. I definitely could have driven home, but for some reason, Sarah and my mother both didn't think I could drive home. Like they were
Good
so like, "There's no way you're driving home. You'll die," like that kind of thing. So there was no way I was going to drive myself home. They were very firm on that.
Yeah, yeah.
On the way home, I didn't have enough ice, and so I was going through ice water so fast because my tongue was swelling so much that I almost felt like my tongue was like blocking my air path,
Oh, good times.
like
Oh,
the back
fun.
of my tongue.
Oh, that's gotta feel horrendous.
It wasn't even the front of the tongue; it was the back of the tongue.
Of course, it was the back of the tongue.
Yeah, it was like huge, and
Ugh.
still the back of my tongue still hasn't completely deflated from that. It's still a little chunky.
These are the weirdest sentences.
Yeah,
The back
Wow.
of my tongue hasn't deflated yet.
it was so huge. It was like you couldn't even see my like into the bottom of my throat because it was just like that big at the back. And then at one point during the healing, my back of my tongue is like this, and the front of my tongue is like this. So it was like a crazy slide. It was just like, you know, where it's got no natural curve. It's just all like, wah!
It's a saddle.
You know, everything he's saying is the reason I would never do this. Like,
never?
there's not. Why? What am I gonna?
Can you
what am I
really
gonna do?
picture him doing it?
No, I guess.
It's not for everyone.
Dude, there's
I could see you with a snake tongue.
There's-
It would look good on you.
there's very few heavy body mods that I like actually give a flying fuck about.
Yeah.
But this one's actually fucking cool as shit. Like that's really fucking cool.
I will say I'm starting to like the look of pointed ears.
He does those.
Yeah, like those look really cool on some people.
I never did the research. I don't even know.
Oh, dude,
What it
I'll,
is.
I'll show you a couple.
Super easy to do.
You start looking like Legolas, like just that.
So you just take a
elf
pair of
ear.
scissors like
Well,
in your bathroom mirror.
You would scalpel part of the tissue, as
Yeah.
far as I know, and then you would just sew the other
Yeah, you
parts
sew it
together
basically.
to make a point.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quick and not especially painful. Like
It looks cool.
Minimal pain.
But I think the tongue is cooler to me because it's stealth.
Yeah.
You know, you're not.
So we were talking
you're
about earlier.
choosing who you share it with, right?
I mean, I guess.
Well, as far as I know, it has certain benefits in the
Like-
bedroom.
Like I'm not that,
Choosing who you share it
that
with.
too precisely.
Yeah.
So
That's the only thing I can think of that's like a positive.
yeah, but there's something so valuable like the pointed ears. You got no control over who you're sharing that with.
Yeah.
But the pointed tongue, like I value the stealth of it.
Okay.
Because like it's a super
Well, you
heavy,
know.
hardcore body mod, and it's like people don't know unless you like intentionally share that with them.
What you're getting
Yeah.
into there is, I've brought it up before, but the old style of piercing was all like private.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
all torso and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all like below the belt or like nipples and stuff like that, where no one's seen it.
just
Yep.
like Governor Cuomo.
Yeah, and it is a lot of people in government and like doctors and lawyers
Yeah.
and shit coming in with like 3 or 4 rings through their penis, right? Like it was all like weird, like kinkster stuff, right? So again, those hidden body mods that are truly just for
Yeah.
you, they're not about showing off.
And I value the stealth of it. I just have the wrong hobbies and activities for piercings, you know?
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
get
for
you.
piercings for sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to be roughhousing
just
too often.
anywhere. Just anywhere in my body. I've thought about it over and over again. Like, no. Nope, there's nowhere for piercings.
Yeah,
There's
you don't want to get
nowhere-
yourself some hip piercings. Those won't go so well.
No.
There's nowhere I feel okay with piercings in my body. Huh.
Yeah, no.
If your hobbies include standing and sitting up, do not get up. Do not get your hips pierced.
Yeah.
Hips.
Oof.
Seriously, I was on an airplane when I had hip piercings. I'm sitting there on the airplane
They're
for
dermals?
no, I had them straight through.
Surface bars?
Yeah, surface bars. They were flexible bars, so I can't remember what they're called.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
And I actually kept mine for 2 years, which is really, really long time to keep hip piercings. Most people only manage 6 months before
I
they,
don't understand.
the skin just
Because nobody talks
deteriorates.
about it. They see the piercing and they're like, sweet. And
Yeah.
then nobody talks about living with one.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that like Jeremy's kind of vlog provides people is just what it's like to live with
Yeah, I
these
give
things.
a lot of inside information that almost no one else ever says
Yeah.
anything about. That's I think part of why people like that shit because there's nobody that talks about any of it.
It's
They
weird,
get
man.
The thing and then it's gone, and it's like, why'd that happen? And there's no answer.
Like, how many people see this here, the Labre it's called?
Yeah,
And think, oh, wicked. Let's go for that. Let's try that. Meanwhile, you can provide some actual insight on, oh,
it's
you've got
like.
a hole in your lip now.
it's a
that
real
has
life-changing
real
thing.
life ramifications. What are we doing?
Yeah.
How do we manage that?
There's a lot of problems that come
yeah.
with it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Man, every time I'd see people get dermals, especially like when women get dermals like here
It's one of the most common places.
or like here.
I had 2 dermals, one here
Yeah.
and here.
I was just always waiting for the day where it's like, yeah, it got hooked on my loofah. Like
Yeah.
every single person that I've ever seen get them comes back with like, yeah, loofah ripped it out or bra strap ripped it out. And it's just like, oh my God.
I was tattooing a chick with a piercing or a dermal right here, like on top of her forearm. How the heck do you live with that? And like just tattooing around it was a total pain in the butt. I was catching it on my wiping, I was catching it on my machine.
Of course.
I had
Imagine
a
rolling
friend,
sleeves.
Imagine rolling sleeves.
Yeah.
I had he was a friend and a coworker. His name was Matt. He had a dermal on his wrist.
Yep.
And one day he came to work,
Oh.
and there was just this awful, like, sore spot where it was gone. I was like, what the fuck happened? He's like, oh, I was fucking with my pregnant girlfriend, and it got caught in her hair and ripped out.
Oh my God.
Like, he was like,
And that pulled her hair. Like, it wasn't good for her
he
either.
was like
No.
being a douche and like teasing her or something, and he's like fucking around. And
Yeah.
it just rips right out. It's like, well, I guess that's instant karma. if
Yeah,
I've ever
that
heard it.
legit.
So
Yeah.
this is a dermal attached to hair, attached to a piece of scalp laying on the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, like what a horrible scene.
Yeah,
horrendous.
no bueno.
And it did not leave a pretty mark.
I wouldn't suspect it would.
Guessing a good chunk of his wrist is missing.
Yeah. There was a lot more than the dermal worth gone.
Oh
like
my
the
God.
dermal's like that big, the scar is like that big.
Ugh. That's
So,
nasty.
Well, you
Party
paid
on.
for that.
Yeah, sure did.
My dermals, I had those for about 2 years. They always tried to pull out, though. I almost had to reinsert them. There's techniques to make them sink in again. One of them is you wear a little, like, those round face Band-Aids. They're not face Band-Aids, but they're round Band-Aids. You can put them wherever. You just sleep with those in, and they kind of push them back down.
Crazy.
But they're always trying to migrate.
Yeah, of course.
They're always trying to migrate.
The
'Cause-
perfect heal of those almost never happens, right?
Yeah.
Because like it has to basically sit in the skin untouched
Flush, yeah.
to let the skin kind of grow over top of
And
the
I've
anchor.
never seen one that like actually heals in flush.
No, never.
No, they're always trying to go up crooked.
Okay,
See, like part
that's
of the
not
bar.
exactly true. I've seen a dude who's a piercer who is like his specialty is dermals, and his like
Oh, it
he
can be
has.
done.
I think you probably have seen him, but he has like 40 on his torso
Oh,
somewhere
wow.
in there,
Yeah, I've probably seen
and they're like perfect. And I mean, obviously, he knows how to care for them, but it's just one of those like, okay, I guess it is possible.
Again,
but-
anything can be done. It's just
Commitment.
some things are and
Yeah.
especially they can be done by some people.
Okay, so this I had a question for this, right? So the cost. So I tend to look at things in terms of like when people invest in certain things, that tends to come with a certain level of personal investment into the thing, as in they're going to take care of it up to a certain level, depending on how much they've physically invested in it, because their emotional investment tends to match. So I always have this thought of like it has to be of a certain price to make it so that the person will actually care for it.
Yep.
I always thought that piercings were in a place where they're just a little bit too cheap for people to take it seriously. Dermals kind of steps it up, but the tongue split for me, I was actually shocked that it wasn't more.
It is more usually.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask the normal price and your price?
Well,
Is that crazy?
I got it cheaper than most people would, but I will just tell you the normal price.
yeah.
He charges $650.
That's not crazy at all.
Not
For such
crazy
a
at all.
crazy
But there are
procedure.
This is my thing.
There are people who charge way more.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly sure why his prices are lower because he's one of the better artists in North America.
Well, it probably suits his market.
And really, like, what's it take him start to finish an hour and a half with each client?
No, not even that
Yeah,
long.
it's probably
Exactly.
30 minutes.
I was with him about 30 minutes. I was
But he
way faster.
But he probably
than
has
most
an
people
hour
are.
of various setup and
So
prep.
guy
Sure,
next to me, I can almost guarantee you that took him an hour.
Yeah.
Because one of the things he told me was, he's like, I'm going to tell you all these things. I'm not sure they're going to qualify for you, but like we're going to take this slow. You can take lots of breathers. Lots of people need a breather after this step. After this step, I'm like, I was just full bore. Like, no,
Yeah.
I came here to do this. We're not fucking around. Like I wasn't even entertaining the possibility of like one of those sorts of reactions. And I think that happens to people a lot. And I'm not being a tough guy. It's just I've never understood paying someone to do something for you and then complaining about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've never understood. And that's like you said yesterday. Sarah did great. She never complained. I'm like, well, she's got me as a husband.
That's right. That's
like
right.
she's heard me enough.
She
where I'm
understands
like,
exactly how to take the pain.
well, even if you're
And-
not, even if you're feeling it,
Yeah.
like this is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you paid for. This is the experience.
Yeah.
It's not just the aesthetic that you're
Yeah.
here for. You're here for the goddamn memory too.
And for her blackout portions, like in between the images on her sleeve, I'm gonna like coach her in breathing a little more. I was too like in flow yesterday, just cruising, tattooing. Lining a whole sleeve is quite a bit of like focus
Well,
and effort anyway.
I said
did you
to her,
guys
Scott
do?
was probably focused
We lined the whole
on
sleeve.
what he was doing
Cool.
and why he was doing.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you need to worry about you.
Precisely.
He's worrying about him.
But seeing her condition at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you could tell like she wasn't complaining, but when I set the machine down, you could see her go into that kind of like tensed shake a bit, and that's a sign of, oh, you've not necessarily been breathing right for the past few hours. I'm not saying she was breathing wrong the whole
No,
time.
I know what you
But there were
mean.
periods within which she for sure wasn't breathing right.
But
That's
I
how you
told
get to
her,
that
I was like,
stage.
you probably are a little out of shape for this
Yeah.
because
yeah.
you haven't been getting tattooed often, and she resented that. She'll resent hearing me say it now, but
Yeah.
I don't care because I'm not. I've told her the same thing. It's not like I wouldn't say to her what I would say here.
Yeah, of
I
course.
said to her, I'm like, if you do this more often. And I'm always on her too because she wants all these tattoos. She's, I don't have the money. I don't have it. But then she buys 6 pairs of jeans.
Yep.
And then we've talked about it too. And she knows she does have the money. She just
Prioritizes it differently.
yeah. Sometimes it ends up in different places.
Yeah,
But I hate
yeah.
when she says I don't have the money, and then she buys a whole bunch of stuff.
Not everyone puts tattoos as the number one priority.
And that's fine.
For finances.
That's completely
Like you
fine.
do.
But don't then tell me I don't have the money.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like, you know, I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told her, I was like, I'll go half on anything you want to do.
Yeah. Nice.
Like I gave her some money for yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I want to
So-
see her get this stuff done too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think this is a good project for her because we can cover a lot of ground. In like yesterday, we did the most intense session in the whole sleeve.
Yep.
And from here on, maybe we'll just do like 2-hour evening sessions or something, where we'll go real hard for 2 hours. You can come hang too. I'll coach her on her breathing and stuff.
We'll do it
and
on
it'll-
Wednesday
it'll be-
evenings or something.
Exactly, and it'll be a blast.
Yeah.
Maybe not Wednesday because Wednesday's podcast and then work.
Well,
and
whatever.
more work
We'll
might be
figure
too
that
much,
out.
But
it doesn't
yeah,
make. It doesn't matter which.
precisely.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think when people people sign up for something like that. Like, they just want the image. No, fuckers, this is for the experience too.
That's
Yeah.
part of the problem with planning your tattoo through looking at pictures of other people's tattoos. You know what I mean? Like the Pinteresty version of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want that rather than like, I want to get a tattoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like I want that picture as opposed to I want to go through the process of tattoo. Because those are two different types of experiences.
Am more thankful, and this is an honest to God truth, because I do like the look of the tongue split. I do like the experience of having it done now, but I'm more thankful for having gone and done that finally and knowing what it was like and healing it and just having an opinion on the whole thing. I'm more thankful for all of that information than I am for the visual of it. Mm-hmm. And that may sound mind-blowing to some people, but just because that feeling that I got from it was more interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Like the whole thing, the whole experience was much more interesting than the look for me.
Experiential-based pursuits.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's one that most people won't even notice.
No.
So this is strictly for me, so why wouldn't I want to experience all of it?
It's like saying, are you driving a Cadillac so everyone knows that you're set, or are you driving a Cadillac because that's just the type of vehicle you like to drive?
Yep.
There are some things that are done in a way for vanity or clout, obviously, right?
Yeah. We all have a different spectrum for our incentives for doing things anyway, right?
But like, if you were going to be doing things just to show off, splitting your tongue is not one that you would do.
No.
Because it's not, well,
Unless you're doing
I'm
it for
gonna
the
be posing
photo.
with my tongue out all
Yeah.
the time, and I'm not.
That's the
'cause
thing. It's like if you're doing it for the photo later.
I have seen people who do that, where they're like always with their tongue out, but that's not
Yeah.
going to be
I'm
me.
just I'm just
Yeah.
picturing in a bigger city, some people are really just trying to do anything to stand out.
Yep.
So they can go to the bar and they can really stand the fuck out because, if you're 25 and into that whole scene, you go to the bar and like you're gonna get a lot of attention. Some people are just really feeling lost in a
Oh, for
world of
sure.
anonymity, and they're trying to do something to stand out. So they can go and get attention with this thing. So I feel like there's a lot of people doing it for the external, not as much the experiential.
So much of
Well, the
what
experiential is like your internal thing, right? Like that has nothing to do with the outside world.
Am I bringing value to me, or am I bringing value to others for them to give value to me?
so much of what I get, like the negative feedback that I get, is like, "Oh, you're doing this all for attention. It's all for attention. It's
Right,
clear
right.
as day. That is the reason.
That's
It
what I'm
is
saying.
the reason."
I think some people do.
Well, and
Right?
that's quite possible. But the more you know about me, the less that makes sense.
Oh,
When
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
married and I've been employed forever, and I've got everything, all my basic needs taken care of.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
my life just kept going the way it is right now, I could be fine forever. I don't need anyone's anything.
Yeah.
I do this all for kicks. I like this stuff. I've always done it, but like, that's where for me, when you say that to me, it does not make sense. But I do think that it does make sense for some people, right? Like, because why would I? Who am I looking to mate with? I've already
Yeah.
got a wife. I've been
Yeah.
I've been in so many relationships already. I don't need any more
But
of that.
there's still a basic human biological urge to still pursue more. Like how many people who are rich and successful and pursuing new business ventures and opportunities and increasing their wealth, how many of them are happily married and will just stay that way with the same
Oh, yeah.
partner, but they're still out there ambitiously pursuing
That, yes.
that dollar, that venture, that whatever, 80, 100 hours a week, just like a dog with a bone, just going hard.
That
Well,
I can
so-
appreciate.
I mean, there's two types of that person, though, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
I'm big time.
deeply antisocial. So, like I've said before,
that's
Remy is a very social butterfly, but Jer is not.
Yeah.
Remy is like the projection of something that I'm not, in
Mm-hmm,
a way. It is me, but it's like super me. So, you were saying the two versions of that.
Oh, I was just like, the more is usually two different things. Like you have genuine high performers in the world that's their natural kind of flow state, is the progress, is the moving forward, is the kind of getting more. And it doesn't really seem to matter what the thing is, money and success just kind of comes with the behavior that is the pursuit of more.
Exactly.
So that's like their happy place. Like that's to keep their brain content. And then there's the people that are so uncontent with who they are inside that the outside pursuit of more is their version of trying to validate their inside, in which case that's a hole that never gets filled. And those people
I've
have
heard
all of
that
that
a lot.
stuff and then end up being depressed.
I think both holes never
Getting
get
more
filled.
tattoos. You'll never fill the hole.
Hang on, what do we say, dude?
In that analogy.
Let's talk about that.
I mean, I was just looking for a way to say that sentence
I know
out
you
loud. However, I feel like both those reasons, especially if we're talking wealth, because pursuing wealth, it can also be an experiential aspect as well, and some people do pursue it for the right reasons. But I think even the people who are just doing it because they want more of anything, I think even that leads to kind of a black hole of like, I don't know.
What doesn't lead to a black hole of, I don't know.
I mean,
Good point. Good point. Welcome to my mindset in general.
Buddhism. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
the thing is,
We'll
like,
all be monks.
Zen is also a black hole of.
Cheers,
it's just-
boys.
it's just-
We're becoming monks.
No,
It's
Zen's
just a different.
Zen's the anti-pursuit. That's the
Precisely.
interesting thing about it is because if you think you can work for it,
There
that's
is a difference between bliss and annihilation.
Exactly.
perspective.
Are you telling me there's a difference then?
Depends on how you want to look at it, really.
Fair.
Because like really, like nothingness can be viewed as annihilation and negative, or nothingness can be viewed as calm and peace. You know, Thanos could have been a Buddhist. Who knows?
Well, when people are always, "What you do? This is all going to be meaningless one day." It's like, what isn't?
Yeah.
Does that
yeah.
mean we should stop doing everything?
I mean, that's the philosophical question, right?
Like,
The why do you get up in the morning?
how pointless is it for you to buy a fucking truck, asshole?
Yeah.
Your
Right.
big truck that's your profile picture that you're washing in 6 videos in a row on TikTok? How much of a point does that have?
That point is his identity.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just throwing shit at each other now?
Pretty
Now,
well.
in theory, I mean, welcome to the internet.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like you're doing the same fucking thing, asshole.
Well, yeah, but like the ability to see oneself is almost never the case. Like people don't have the ability to see themselves in the things that they project out onto others. Like it's wild.
Yeah. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with washing your truck all the time
Of course not.
and making videos about it on TikTok.
Yep.
But if you're going to be doing that, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like that is the same thing.
Well, like so say
It's vanity.
like say we switched the way that we look at everything. Say we looked at everything rather than what, we looked at it as why. Like from a very young age, you just kind of get the idea. Because like when you're a kid, that's the question you ask all the time. Like you got your terrible 2-year-old that's just asking you why for everything around you. You know what I mean? Like this, like, so that's the TV. Why? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing that keeps coming up to people. But like that's very quickly the question that we shut down later.
Yeah, people get
It
sick
becomes
of that
more,
question.
Yeah,
It becomes
exactly.
more what, right? Because what we can actually point to.
Well,
and it's
as an
physical.
adult, you learn to ask better questions.
do you?
Not always.
No, well, as
Which adult have you met?
as a successful adult, as an intentional adult, we try to ask better questions.
Yeah, and that's
I
what I'm
am
saying. A why is a
actually-
better question, right?
Yeah.
Than a
Whenever,
what. A why
whenever I'm
is
speaking with my son, I'm like, I talk to him in the same way I talk to you boys. Like we talk like this, and he talks like this with other people now.
so he's coming on the podcast.
Like, he's not aggressive and like over the top, but like he's very like logical even for his age. Like we don't get into silly stuff for too often. It's always like he's speaking at like an 18 to 20-year-old level.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's not just because I love him and I have a biased view of him. I strip myself of that. I treat him like he's a buddy. More because he's of the age when he can start to get this shit. I started that a few years ago. My mom's still talking to him like he's like fucking 6 years old.
No, I hate
he even
that.
says to me, he's like, "Why does she do that?" I'm like, "Well,
Excellent question.
for her, I think she's a little sad that you're not a baby anymore because she
Yeah.
wants babies."
Man, I just think that also, like, I'm a big fear of death person. So when I hear that, I think she doesn't want him to grow up. That means she's not getting older. That means she'll never die. That's what I always hear.
Well,
I
she is
can't
afraid
not
of
hear
death.
that stuff now.
She
Because
is
you've gone
afraid
too
of
deep
death.
into philosophy,
Dude,
Kevin.
The more
seriously,
afraid of
it's
Philosophy
death you
changes
are,
how you see everything.
I'm just like, oh, so you fear death?
the
Cool.
And a
more
lot of the
afraid
times,
of
it's a
death
dark
you
corner.
are,
I know.
the more you fear aging.
Yeah.
Yep.
If
Big
you
time.
don't have much fear of death, you won't have much fear of aging.
Yeah.
They're deeply correlated.
Come to terms with death. Thereafter, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like you stop aging yourself the less you fear death.
Yeah, well, I mean, stress and cortisol is definitely a great way to age yourself
I
faster.
feel younger now than I did 10 years ago.
Not me.
And not like I
My
have
hip
less
hurts.
experience, but I feel more. I feel more open.
But there's things you can do about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to fix the fuck out of
Yeah,
it. For
hell
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be young again.
Like I honestly feel more open and flexible than I did 10 years ago.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm in a different thing now, but like this current state of me, I'd say the last 2 months, 3 months has been like the most peace I've felt ever. Like ever.
And Dave and I have talked about your acceleration.
It's strange.
Kevin has changed a lot,
Man, it's
even since I've known you. But before that, he was telling me a bit about how you were, and I'm like, yeah, it's like two different people.
yeah.
I can appreciate the evolution that people go through, though.
When I talk to people that I have not talked to in a long time, I actually do have to preface to them that I'm an entirely different human.
And they
Like-
probably don't take you seriously at first.
No, they
either.
don't until they start talking to me, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Holy shit, who are you?" It's weird, man. Like,
Life should do that to you.
yeah. Well, hopefully.
Most people, it doesn't, though.
I know.
I talk to people I
Saddens
went
me.
to high school with, and it's like, I've seen a couple of them hanging out outside my work the other day. They looked the same, just fatter and older. They both have receding hairlines and beer guts. And they're like, every time I see you, you look more tattooed. Like, I'm
I
like, yeah, this is
routinely,
where you are. This is going to be you until you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and nothing wrong with them as people, but like, they look the same as they did when I first seen them. And they're just older versions of that.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I routinely speak to people who have known for years, and a common thread will be a type of a romantic relationship in their life that's a little bit blind is the wrong word, but a little bit stuck on the little details of life. So they've kind of been quibbling with the same crap with their partner for the last 8 freaking years. Well, no, but some people do see through their own drama, and instead of being able to get to the heart of an issue and really deal with the issue, or really deal with the overarching thing causing the issues, they're really just fighting with the issues. You know, there are people who've been in the same relationship for 8 years, and they're still fighting about who's going to do the laundry and clean the house. You know, that kind of crap, right?
Yep.
And
All that really important stuff.
yeah, and you'll talk to these people, and they're still having the same issues in their like home life, and it's not always chore stuff. Sometimes it's interpersonal communication stuff. Then the same issues they've been having for years, and their personal growth is just stopped because their ability to be themselves and flow into their own mind has been so hampered because they're not even getting past the basic levels of communication and true intimacy in their daily life.
Yeah, see, that's where when I hear that, I think, okay, 5, 10 years from now, when all this stuff becomes more legal, it'll be like, okay, we're going to fight about the laundry. Guess what? We're taking MDMA and we're going to talk about the laundry.
Yeah. Well, and then you can share your own, your actual
it's almost
feelings.
never about the laundry.
Of course.
It's super not about
Of course.
the laundry.
'Cause
I mean,
if
the
it was
laundry
actually
has
about
to be
laundry,
done.
that's insane.
If it's actually with the laundry, go to the freaking laundry.
Yeah, who cares?
Well,
Throw out all
I
your
heard
clothes.
great-
I don't
great
care.
saying
Buy new
one
ones.
time.
Whatever.
I heard a great saying one time. It stuck with me, and I hear it play out through my head whenever anyone's complaining about something like minuscule that shouldn't bother them the way they do, or it does. They'll say something like, "Oh, I hate Mondays," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, you hate Mondays. You hate your life. That's
Yeah.
what you hate. It's got nothing to do with Monday."
No, I'll still caveat that with there's lots of little things in my life that piss me off.
Sure.
There's lots of little things that I get hung up on, but I reserve those for a very small percentage of my mental space and my time. So there are things in my life that I find are a nuisance, and I'll come to these things and get pissed off and accept it for now and move the fuck on with my life and be as authentic and focused on the real issues as possible. And then I'll get to another thing that it hangs me up for no reason. I get pissed off, but I deal with it, and I keep those nuisances to a very small portion of my life so I can carry on and be a real human as much as possible, despite those little things that invariably will get our ire up at times.
So my only question would be, why? Other than biochemically, because biochemically, sure, when you have stressors and things like that.
Biochemically, we have happy days and sad days and good days and shit days.
But when you logically look at the thing, that thing being able to give you an emotional response, why?
It's fucking with my stoicism. But I'm always working toward a greater deal of stoicism with my daily life.
So this is maybe there's no answer to this. But say stoicism. Okay, so that's like let's just talk about that as like your median, right? So things being able to fuck with your median.
Yeah, external factors in fucking with your internal okayness, right?
But
it's kind of the base.
I would argue that those two things are entirely different.
Yeah, big time.
So, but I think people view them as together because like your internal calm, your internal state of being has everything to do with just you.
Yeah.
That's why external shit doesn't fix the internal thing.
Exactly.
The internal thing is just there.
Which is why I'm saying people who are stuck in that lifestyle where those external things are always fucking with them and always throwing them off, their personal development, their ability to enter that Zen state is severely messed up or it's severely handicapped because they're always they spend so much more of their time stuck on the plane of worrying about this little crap.
I think like when you haven't done your own work and made yourself happy and secure and content, it's harder to deal with other people's shit.
Yeah.
So like I started having these weird moments of clarity, like after the girl I was with twice, we separated violently the one time. After our second relationship dissolved, I remember being in the car with my mother, my younger brother, and he was asking her to do something, but it taking 5 minutes, and she was, oh, I don't want to do that, it's out of the way, and this and that. And I remember just like listening to them, and I started like phasing out, and I just cut through them and was like, it's going to take him 5 minutes. You don't have anywhere to be. Like, just do this to make him happy. You're not even going to. You're going to remember doing this less than he's going to remember you doing it for him, right? Like, it's going to be more valuable to him than it is going to cause you pain, right? But she can't see it that way because she's not happy enough or content enough herself to give more away. That's the way I view things like that.
Yeah, agreed.
So, like, if it's going to take you 5 minutes, it's going to level someone else up a lot. And you're not willing to do it, even if it's barely an inconvenience to you, that's because you're not okay. That's not to do with anyone else.
Nah.
Like, you just can't give more out willingly when you're not getting enough yourself. But you can't get that from someone else.
No.
You have to give it to yourself.
Yeah, that's the problem with looking at things as the things that are around us as having any effect on whatever that internal state of being is.
Exactly. And that's why the last 5 years of my life, I feel like I was building the groundwork for who I am now for all my life.
Yeah.
But I really put all the pieces together in the last 5 years where it's like, I'm doing me. I do not care who it offends. I don't care what it hurts. I will say my piece no matter who you are. And being that way everywhere in my life has caused me to rage less, be less... or be more satisfied day to day, be less angry all the time, be less depressed, be less sad, be less resentful, and be more open to others. Be more helpful to others as well through that. Through being who I am and not making any consolations, it's made me a better person outward too.
You have more energy
weird.
You have more energy to put out and affect others positively when you're not spending all your time punching and fighting what's
well,
just
and then
happening
being
in your own
resentful
life.
of people.
Yeah.
Well, why do I have to do this for you? You haven't done anything for me.
The scorecard thing.
Yeah, no, you're supposed to do for you. It's not on anyone else to do for you. You do for you.
That was something that I was really bogged down in for a long time, was this idea that like I didn't understand why other people weren't doing things for me that I was doing for them.
Right.
That this like thing of like, well, nope, like that's what if I was getting depressed, that's where my head would go, which is just like nobody seems to want to do that for me, and then in which case I would miss the people that were doing that for me. Like I wouldn't be able to take notice of like, oh,
Yeah,
this
they're
person's
giving
there
you
for
a
me
chemical
always.
that this person isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit. And I would want to focus on the negative side of it because I wasn't internally kind of like at a state of calm.
That's
makes-
also a result of any depression that you experience, like any depression, whether it's biochemical or just comes from external pressures. The first symptom, the first sign that you're like, oh, there might be something out of balance up here, is, oh, all I see is the crap. I don't see the sunrise in my experiential horizon right now. All I see is the garbage.
Yeah.
I had this has had so many positive effects on me that weren't obvious at the time, and there probably still are some now too, because I don't know yet. But when someone is going to do something for you and then they don't, say, we'll just give an easy example. Say me and Rick have an appointment today, and now all of a sudden Rick crashes his motorcycle or something. And maybe he didn't even do that. Maybe he just doesn't want a tattoo today. And maybe I see him later in the day and he's just douching around downtown or something. I'm like, this motherfucker just blew me off, right? Not really a wacky
Just
thing
douching around.
to imagine.
It's
it could
not
happen,
wildly
right?
impossible.
No,
at
It
all.
could
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
I wouldn't even be mad at him because my mind goes to he's got nothing to invest. Like, this is more for me than it is for him. He is making money, but like, just because I want a tattoo doesn't mean he wants to tattoo me as much as I want him to.
It's almost never
Exactly. But like, that's all of life.
Yeah.
A good rule that I've applied to myself is, guess who cares more about you than you? No one. No one.
Unless you're a Christian,
But-
at which point it's God.
If you apply that to everyone, then everybody can be working from that same level. You can actually use that selfishness in a
To
selfless
understand how
way.
the world works.
Right. Because you have to do that first.
Uh-huh.
Because once you've done that, then you can give more to others too.
Yeah.
Once you
Well,
can
and-
check your own bases.
And then their shit's not draining your energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with all of
So
this.
what? Rick's douching around downtown, so my day's ruined. Now I'll do something else.
Yeah.
We'll see Rick next week. Next week, fine, whatever.
So
He doesn't get to have power over me, and I'm not going to be upset at him
Exactly.
either. He's his own person. He's doing what he needs to do to be happy in his way. I'm going to do the same thing.
So my question, my
Yeah.
curiosity in all this is, I think the language around how to achieve that in our society currently has to deal with things, and it's a lot of stories. Like we have these fairy tales that we all believe.
Yeah. That's because of this or that.
Yeah. So like even like, you know, I think back to like, okay, so you're gonna get married and then all of a sudden you'll be happy. You're gonna have a kid and all of a sudden you'll be happy. You're gonna lose weight. You're gonna have a dream job. You're gonna make $1 million. Like there's all these like external markers that we get told that those are the things to cure that internal
And not
thing.
even told directly. It's more insidious than that. Yeah. Because it's all this subconscious media entertainment, and people are constantly telling us their struggles, their battles, their aspirations, and we're slowly interpreting that and compiling that as this list of goals to be happy.
Yeah. Well, like that's the
Get
thing that I've
these
noticed is
things and win.
Like subconsciously by accident. Exactly.
well, I think we have a push to get things that is real for us biologically.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it would make sense that when we think of like happiness, we think of happiness or that zen as something that we can work for and go and get. And the thing that sucks about it is exactly the opposite of that. It's this like you already like your existence as you is already there, and anything that you go against that with is your effort away from, right? So you being authentically you isn't something that you're having to do. It's something that is already there that you just have to allow to happen,
Yeah.
right? And that's the kind of catch-22 of this stuff is it's not something that you can work towards. Like you just have to embrace what exists in you already.
Yeah, you have to almost work a muscle deep down that's hard to find.
But it's not working it. That's the thing that I find really strange about all this stuff. It's like the more that idea of work, the further away that pushes you. Because like realistically, your authenticity of who you are is already there.
Well, there's nothing, you can't go to the gym. But what I mean is like, you almost have to do some kind of a deep dive on yourself.
Yeah, you have to know.
And there is work in that, inner work in that.
Yeah, this is something that I'm having a hard time understanding language around because like it's both like that seems to make sense, but that would also be counterproductive. It's like we need a different type of word for it.
Well, I understand what you mean.
You know what I mean? Because it's just like those things, like you being naturally you, is technically effortless.
But have you ever
That's
felt,
the weird part of it, right?
have you ever felt yourself like trying to trade parts of yourself for other people? Like if I give away this thing, this person might give away this thing, and then we can meet in the middle.
The bartering?
Well, emotional bartering.
Why do you think you have to give anything up?
I don't think you have to.
Agreed.
And I feel like it's a self-conscious thing. It wouldn't be like, I'm going to give away my sense of identity, and now you do too, and we'll have but a lot of the time, that's what happens in partnerships.
But that would I would argue because you don't actually know your identity, and you're scared of your identity, and therefore
Whatever it takes to become this person, someone.
Well, you think that by acquiescing to their version of reality, that will make you feel content, right? Which is, again, an effort thing. Like, I'm going to work at being what they think I should be in order to make it so that I'm okay.
That's why I find it funny, my way of, like, when I met Sarah, it was like, this is who I am. You can take or leave. Like, it was, and that was the only time I've ever been that way with, like, I was dating a lot of different people at that time, and that was my general approach.
Yeah.
And I was having great success. Like, it was way more, like, when I was talking to Dave about Sarah before we were together, he was like, "You're batting way out of your weight class there, pal." I'm like, "I don't fucking think so. I could go farther out." I was like, I had that level of confidence that I never really had before, just because I was so sure of myself, of who I was and what I was going to give and what I could give and all of that. The whole package of me was fully realized then, and what I represented, and so it was like, now you can use this almost as a weapon.
Well, it is a bit of a superpower, right? Like understanding yourself
and your
who
limitations
you are.
too, right? What you can and can't do, because it's not saying you're perfect.
No,
it's just
God,
saying
no.
you know how to use yourself. As wacky as that sounds.
I mean, it sounds wacky, but it doesn't sound wacky. At the same time.
Yeah. And just accept yourself through it all. Like you're coming to the table going, yeah, you're okay, and I'm okay too.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It was never like, oh, I'm going to be better than this person, or like that. That's never what I'm bringing into any conversation.
Like here I am.
Just,
I have strengths that I value a lot, and flaws I don't value as much, but completely accept, and it's okay.
Well, another thing I've always thought is, if you know your weaknesses and you can laugh at them, once you can do that, no one can make you feel bad about yourself. Really.
Yeah. The idea of like shame in
Yeah,
that
it's
respect
over.
is like, all right,
It's over.
I guess there's no more of that.
Like, you can tell me any joke, and I've made it up myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'll walk into a room and I'd be like, yeah, I know I'm a fucking freak. What's the point? What's the problem?
What's the problem
Like,
here?
what's the problem?
What are we doing here?
Well, my coworker told me, he showed me to his girlfriend. Like, he showed me to his girlfriend on my Instagram page. And she's like, Vince, I don't want to be rude. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he looks like a freak. And we both just burst out laughing. Just at her, like, squeamishness. Like, I haven't heard this before.
Am I the first
oh my
to say
goodness,
this?
How could you show me that? Oh, like, no. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
I get off on that shit. Hilarious. People should have that level of, like openness about laughing at themselves, too. Because we're all stupid in a way, right? We all
Episode
have our-
70. I get off on that shit.
like you can like your strengths, but you have to acknowledge your weaknesses and what you look
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Because it helps you know what you look like to the outside world, too.
The other
Acknowledging
real
your
part of
strengths
that
and
is
not your weaknesses is ego.
yeah. Well, the other thing is liking your weaknesses too.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Finding
yeah.
enjoyment in the fact that those are the
Yeah.
those are the whole you.
It's like me laughing about falling off a ladder and dying.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know what you just have a laugh. We're not here
man.
that long.
Like
Don't take it that fucking seriously, guys. We're all going to die one day.
the fact that like there's things that get fixed in this place that I haven't done that get fixed
A
in a way
wizard
that
did it.
I know this magical wizard person just does. Or like Terry with his organization, I just look at
dude.
it and I go, wow,
Yeah.
I wish someday, maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't think that way.
Right.
Like, and it's
It's
It is
beautiful
what it is.
to be able to appreciate what you can't do in other people.
yeah,
And it makes you value what those people
exactly,
can do, right?
exactly.
It's like what you said to Steph the other day when she was taking out my stitches.
Yeah,
It's by far the most painful part of the whole thing.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Was I know you're a badass.
Yep.
Like, she knows her shit.
Oh yeah,
You just said something very subtle to her, and I thought, that's an authentic statement. He's not kidding around.
Yep.
Right? Like, you absolutely appreciate that this person knows their shit.
yes,
Right? Because which one of us could have done that?
none of us.
And which one of us would do that?
No, none of us. I
Right.
hope not.
So, like,
Otherwise, ugh.
when you know your weaknesses, it's easier to point out other people's strengths,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
well, that like, I don't know. I like the idea of seeing life as clearly as you can see it. You know
That's
what I mean?
the goal, buddy. That's
Yeah.
the goal.
Like-
well, and that's the artist struggle too.
Yeah.
The more clearly you're just trying to see more clearly.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly it. The more refined your lens can be, and that's in all walks of life.
Yeah.
The better time you're gonna have. You're gonna have a good time then.
Yeah.
I have a great story on this. I think I've got time to tell it. There's a cook that I work with who only started here because he wanted to learn eggs, because you don't get to learn eggs at most places. And eggs are the hardest thing to do.
I
in a
know.
lot of
I work
kitchens.
on them every day.
I mean, I'm very, very good at that.
I don't
I've
doubt it.
Done it forever, and there's almost no one I've ever worked with can do it. Just one guy is Daryl, my coworker, coworker. He can do as well as me at it. He's the only one I've ever met that can, and that's not a brag. And I'm not that proud of it either. It's just a fact.
Yep.
And anyway, so this guy who worked at the keg for over a decade comes in and he wants to learn eggs, and he just can't hack it. And we've had him trying for like 2 years.
Oh wow.
And because
Oh, shit.
we keep giving him and he can't acknowledge that he can't do it. He has no pride, and I had to tell him the other day, or he has too much pride, and I had to tell him the other day. I'm like, "What's the end game to this, pal? We just keep giving people shitty food forever, or what? Like, is that what we're gonna do, or are you gonna fucking man up and realize you can't do this job?"
You
Nice.
missed it, but the other cook in the room looked around and gave you a great face during that statement.
Well, what's the end game of this? How long are you going to fail at this before you're big enough to admit you
Yep.
can't do it?
Yeah, you see that in a lot of industries around here.
It's fucking, and it gets to the point, and he values my opinion a lot because I've been around for so long in this industry, longer than him. Like, I'm one of the longest around that I've met personally. And so when I tell him something like that, it's like, oh, right? But he's a little sensitive anyway, which isn't good as a cook.
No.
It's really hard to give him feedback. And like, I had it with him where I'm like, he just kept trying to give me a sunny side egg and it just kept breaking and he kept putting more on. And finally he gives me one that looks half edible and he's like, I'm going to put this up. He's like, "We'll get you another one." I'm like, "No, you won't. No, this is what you're going to do."
So wait,
he's like,
he
"No, I'll
fully
get another
failed
one."
several times before producing a good one.
Yeah.
A half decent one, and
Wow.
then he says to me, he's like, "Oh, I can do better." I'm like, "No, you can't."
And this is a
I'm
normal-
I'm no longer interested.
This is
Yeah.
a normal flat top.
Yep.
Dude, it's way harder than you think.
Well,
I
it's
love cooking
hard
on
when
flat
you
top.
it's hard
No,
when
I know,
you're
I'm just
doing
saying cooking
a
an egg,
million things, right? Like, 'cause he's got to do this while he's doing everything else, right?
Right.
The egg
Touche,
grill is by
touche.
far the busiest, and
Yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
Gordon Ramsay's test. Like his culinary test, and that's been the culinary test for a long time, which is cook me an egg.
Yeah.
That's like
I
the
cook
that's
incredible eggs.
good.
Anyway,
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
I looked at him like, "No, you can't give me better. I'm not interested, and this is not even the worst one you've given me today."
Yeah.
So up it goes.
Yeah.
Like, are you happy with this? Like, I wouldn't be this ruthless with him, but he's been doing this for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's not getting better, and he doesn't have the the self-awareness to realize that something isn't clicking and walk away. Because anyone around him could do it better.
Or ask better questions.
Well, I've tried to tell him because I teach everyone. I train everyone that comes through. I've done this for the last 10 years. But I've lost all hope in this guy, and I'm just now tired of it. And it's not going to get better no matter what I tell him because he can't manage his stress. He starts panicking, or when it gets too busy, he starts flipping out, and shit starts falling apart. Food starts looking worse and shit. It's just like, your ego is not going to destroy this place. Like, you need, and it's well intended, but it's just like, you need to acknowledge you're not good enough to do this and walk away. Go do toast.
Yeah.
Go butter bread. That's what you're capable of now. It sounds mean, but it's true.
No, but that's
should
an
have
awareness,
that.
right?
I hope he listens to
People
this episode.
should have that in all of life.
Yeah.
But if he did hear this episode,
He would know it's
heard it
about
from
him.
me. He's heard it from me.
Right.
I've told him the
Yeah.
same
This
thing.
is not talking behind his back.
Or
This
does
is
that
right to
level
his
of
face.
ego allow him to listen to this episode and still not realize it's about him?
Oh, I don't know, but
Maybe.
Like, how many levels of blindness can we go here?
I
Well,
mean,
that's the ego thing. Like,
unlimited.
Exactly.
I can imagine this same thing happening in tattooing, where it's like, well, it did happen with the guy who did my first torso work, where it's like, oh, it must be your aftercare. Get in that skin.
Yeah,
It's like,
everything's got to be someone else, right?
Yeah, it's you, pal. You're out of your depth here. You can't do this. You shouldn't have offered it, and you're fucking it up. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You have too much of an ego to realize it, and it's unearned, by the way.
Or maybe he knows and he goes home and cries himself to sleep and just tries to save face with you every time.
Just
That's also possible.
Yeah.
ego is something people really need to try and fight with. They shouldn't just be placid to it.
Because it's not all
unaware of.
bad. It has a lot of power
You
and
can
can
use
serve a lot
it.
of purpose.
Yep.
But you got to learn how to control that shit first.
Yeah,
It's important.
That's key.
but yeah, it's the point now with him. Like I said, what's the end game here? We just gonna ruin the customer's experience enough times as they don't come back, so it's slow enough that you can keep up, or what?
Before you clap, I have a question. What constitutes a fucked up sunny side egg?
One of the yolks is barely cooked. The whites aren't like cooked around the edges of
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't go like opaque enough through it, kind of thing. Like,
Well,
it's still
you're-
too clear or too opaque.
It's still too much liquid around the fucking yolk, gooey.
Yeah.
There's all, but it's not just the sunny side eggs. That was just one example. Like it's if you, I can't make it make sense to you, but everything is a little off.
Yeah.
Some things are too fast, some things are too slow, some things are really ugly. It's just like, it's just not good enough. It's
Crazy.
just not fucking good enough.